The 14-acre site behind me here has been lying derelict for the past 7 years, ever since an old distillery was knocked down on it. Guinness want to build luxury flats all along the waterfront there, similar to the ones you can see further down the river, and then behind them they want to build a giant supermarket. Now, these plans have been opposed by the local council, Wandsworth, and are currently being examined at a public inquiry.
4 weeks ago today, 450 people or thereabouts trucked in here and set up a camp, and now 4 weeks later we've got an up and running community.
The area was occupied by the environmental group The Land Is Ours back in May. They quickly set about building homes, digging allotments and even conducting guided tours for local school children.
Our main objective was to get this up the political agenda, this issue of derelict land, the lack of affordable housing, the misuse of land in cities for superstores and office blocks and executive housing. People now are talking about these things. We've succeeded with brass knobs on.
My name's Mick, and this is the lifeguard tower that I built in a day out of scrap materials. It's made out of MDF, pallets and 4x2 and a few other bits and pieces. That's my patio furniture, totally free. It's all scrap, all been thrown away and collected, even the paint. This is a pedalo I've got lined up for next week, a pedal boat.
And Simon was walking down the road, and some young local guys come up to him and said, "Are you from the site on York Road?" And he said, "Yeah." And they shook his hand and they said, "You're working class heroes." And the same day, somebody else from here went to sign on and gave this as the address, and the dole officer said, "Oh, we hear that that's the place where you will give over 10% of your dole money to your leader."
I'm trying to get the scruffiness of the place, but it's really is very, very, very difficult.
What kind of paint is that?
It's oil. I know it looks like I'm working with watercolor, but no, it's my secret. You see, I mean, watercolors are wonderful things, but they don't last. So why not really try?
Alternative window.
Yeah. Is that for ventilation?
It's just an interesting feature.
Right.
I wanted to have more overhanging, but I just settled for the corner because it was too tricky to do on your own, you know. Too tricky. Yeah, there's also a basement with a sort of kitchen cooker boiler as well. You can go down the hatch here, or you can go around the back door.
What, underneath here, yeah?
Yeah.
So it's like 2 stories.
Yeah, got a basement.
And this is just sort of the sleeping.
This is where I sleep.
And living room.
That's my name, and that's what it's down.
On an individual basis, it's fascinating who comes in here. One guy who's like a local resident from an estate down the road, and he was at a party the first week we were here, and somebody said to him, "Oh, there's some new age travellers have moved in that site down York Road." And he went, "Oh, see you later." And he went to get his bike to get on down here, and his mate came after him and said, "Oh, I wouldn't go down there, you know what those people are like, blah, blah." And he went, "Oh, but I know those people, I've seen them at Glastonbury Festival. You haven't been to Glastonbury Festival." So he got his bike down here, and he's been here ever since. And he goes home for a few hours now and then. And he's a key holder and that, but I'm really struck by people who basically have the bottle to come in here.
Do you live local or on site? Straight.
My daughter lives on the camp here, so.
Do you find that the site's constantly changing?
Yeah. I think it's very difficult for me to get used to it, actually, I must say. Very, very difficult. I can't, this is why it's sort of one of those impossible really circumstances to get used to it, really.
Speed up, man. I want to see me hitching. Don't mess Sing about on the river.
Are you going to get a boat together, you say?
Yeah, a pedalo. Gonna build a pedalo so that I can pedalo down to Westminster, say hi to all the dickheads down there. And I've got a bus which is down in Chiswick, about the same distance that way.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what way the tide takes me, I'll be somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's a black ladybird. I want to net off across there, and across there, and across there, so that no driftwood or shit comes in this area, and we can swim in it. And there'll be no danger from getting dragged under and stuff. What's the word? Undercurrents?
You get a bit of a beach when the tide's low.
Yeah, there's a beach right up to the pier. It comes up, it's about 12 foot at the moment. Let's have a look at my little display. Oi, oi! What does that say down there? What's the level of the water? See that post? This one. It's got feet on it. How high is the water? 12, 11, 10. It's only on about 6 foot, isn't it? 6 foot at the moment. But it's still coming up. We'll come up to 12 feet. So that tells me the current's very strong at the moment. If you get it right though, you can swim right out, do you know what I mean? It'll just be still as fuck.
Yeah. So you got a bit of an exclusive address really with Gargoyle Wharf next to all that lot.
Chelsea Harbour and whatever that is, yeah. Yeah. See that bobble on those houses over there? It's actually on Chelsea Wharf, yeah. And that ball goes with the tide, goes up and down with the tide.
And what kind of people have been visiting?
Absolutely every sort. It's one of those things where you could never say what it is that brings all these different people from totally different backgrounds and expectations and experience into the same place. And I noticed also that there are certain people who are drawn to these places because it's an easy place to live. They last about 3 days. They get pissed off because so many of us here are on a project, we're on a mission, and people are willing to say, look, you can't do that here, this is not what we're about. And some of them stayed for about 3 days, and then they said, oh, we're going off now because there are better squats in London, you know, and it was like this was a bit hard for them, and they didn't really fancy it. And so that level of turnover, which is why it hasn't turned into a totally lunched out site, because there definitely are enough people present who are not willing to see it trashed.
Anyone going to own up to that back?
The main problem has been materials, so with getting all the materials. We know where to get them, we just haven't had the transport to get them, to pick them up. We went out the other night with a trolley and got pulled by the police after coming off this derelict site with loads of wood. They made us take it back.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a bit out of order.
They made us take it back. There's three police cars and a police van turned up and like searched us, like tried to process us, but obviously they got false names, allegedly. And then as soon as they left, we went back and like we sort of what they done was they sort of escorted us to the site to supposedly to put the wood back on the site. As soon as they drove off, we just went scuttling around the corner and went around the back streets and had another go at getting it here. And then we got about 3/4 of the way here, just thought we was home and dry, and then the police pulled up again. And like this time they escorted us back, like driving behind us with behind the trolley as we pulled it, and watched us put all the wood back.
Really?
Yeah, that's community policing for you.
You think they wouldn't be that bothered, you know? They've got better things to do.
Yeah, well, it seems like there's been there's a few people thinking that there's been a sort of bit of a major change around with the attitude of the police around here towards us. You know, when we first come here, they was being really sort of sympathetic and wasn't giving any hassle at all. But there seems to be a different sort of change around. Someone was like pulled up by the police the other day painting a mural or a picture on the fence outside. The police pulled him up and was threatening to arrest her and for criminal damage. You know, I mean, that's okay. Technically speaking, it is criminal damage, but they was turning a blind eye to that type of stuff at first, and as they should really. But now, I don't know why. Maybe the dodgy handshakes brigade has like had a word with them. Said like, you're being too easy going. These people are being too effective. We better like put the pressure on a little bit more. I don't know. But they definitely changed their attitude towards us.
But what I notice is that a lot of people are really getting turned on by having to do their own. Yeah, there was Rob there pushing cart with big flagons of water just to give himself a bath. He was saying, what a lot of effort just to have a bath. But that's how simple it is for us normally, and that's how we take it for granted, that there's always a bath. Everything is a major thing, and you can be going off to get the water for your cup of tea, and something occurs that has to be dealt with there and then. Somebody comes over, like Terry did the other day, I was in the middle of doing something and Terry comes over saying he's got a coachload of pensioners outside and he needs the key because they can't walk in over the rubble, they need to be driven in. So then I've got to go and find the key and then see them in, and then there's a whole reception for all these elderly pensioners, which has to be dealt with there and then because they're there. And then maybe 2 hours later you get back to what you were doing. But real life was like that before we all got time warped, basically, by having to appear at certain times, and real life was like that.
Puppy, I gave your mum some speech to you, and they got your baby that I gave Annie. So you got yours.
Like yours, come on. What? Who's the little blanket for?
Eh?
Who was the little blanket for?
I gave Annie one. Your mum's got it. Puppy. I'll bring my swimming costume back inside. Give you a water fight.
Yeah. This is fun! No,
Well, I'll see if I've got one. You got a chisel there? You got a half-inch chisel?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be happy, man.
Yeah, that'd be okay. That's all right.
It looks excellent anyway, congratulations.
Cheers. Let's hope it gets finished before we get evicted.
I said, well, let's hope there's a housewarming party. All these houses
Yeah.
are getting built. We'll have
Or a village
housewarming
party. There was some people that were saying that what I should do is like get some big rafters, slide them underneath, then tie oil drums to underneath them, sealed oil drums, and then float it on the river like have a houseboat.
Yes, well.
Put some wheels on it as well, be like an amphibious house.
I mean, this sort of thing you've done here, you know, it's bloody brilliant. It's really, you know, it's just so smart.
It's based on the design that I saw.
I tell you what, what you could have done there is you could have cut that out there, because
Yeah, I was going to do that.
I mean, you can do that with a saw quite easily,
Yeah,
can't you?
yeah,
Because it's not against the grain.
I understand.
And the point about that is that when you have tiles on this, all the pressure is that way.
So the
and
more span you got there,
that's
the more
right. That's right. It resists it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is like putting one bit of wood on top of the other. Is
But
not
it,
the best
but it
way of
makes
doing
sense, doesn't it? Because you're giving yourself sort of space for it. So no, it's very
Yeah.
What you could do is put a bit of
I'm
noggin
sort of
underneath
trying. It's
that.
like a balancing act. I mean, I want to.
noggin here. He's got.
Where things have got to be really strong structurally, where I think I can get away with it, I
Yeah.
don't do it. You know, and because it's I'm working within a time scale really that. I mean, to do it all properly would take probably like half a Guinness long.
But are people? I mean, he's taking videos. Are you videoing all the structures on the site? Are you trying to get a record of all of them? Because it's bloody important.
Yeah, I think that's.
It is going to be important that we have a record of all of the buildings.
My one just a shanty town, look like Kingston, you know.
Is it?
Not only a record of all the buildings, but through the different
Made it in
stages.
about 3 hours.
No, I think it's important.
Well, the thing is that history, to me, it's fundamental to like record our history, because if we leave it to the system, then we know what happened. Then we know what they've done in the past. They withhold certain parts of our history. They never teach us certain parts of our history, and they control us because they control our past.
This is people's history.
Yeah.
It's good to see positive stuff as well, you know.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's why I think the inquiry is important as well, because we've got to make sure they know about what's happening here, even if they don't want to, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dave, I'll probably see you Tuesday.
Okay.
Best of luck with it.
Cheers. 7/8.
So what would you say was the best bit about this whole situation here?
I guess just the freedom to come and live our natural lives. Every night before I go to sleep, I visualise a map of London and actually place us, because we're in a teepee, which means you could be anywhere on the planet. It's like a little spaceship. And when I come out in the morning, I recall that I'm actually, you know, deep in London on this massive historic sort of river. And that's magic, basically. And I don't feel threatened by bailiffs or evictions, simply because we set ourselves up here to actually invoke the full powers of, you know, the patriarchs, to see what they would do next. And after Newbury and everything, this is a doddle in comparison.